Welcome to the Lash Millionaire Masterclass. So you are here because you're someone who's making maybe $5,000 to $10,000 a month, and you have clients, right? You've been able to build the skill of lashing. You've proven that this industry can absolutely work for you. However, you do not necessarily have all of the systems, all of the structure, all of the strategy to get your business to the next level. And that is why the Lash Millionaire Method, as well as the Lash Millionaire School, exists to bridge that gap. So, and this is what the gap is. People don't realize making $5,000 to $10,000, that's great, right? And kudos to you for being able to do that. But that was done off of hustle. That was done off of being a good lash tech and having availability. That was not using necessarily a pricing system or a retention system, a wealth plan, right? Just skill and availability. And the reality of that is that hustle has a ceiling, your body has a ceiling, and your hours have a ceiling. And this is where a lot of lash artists get stuck, because you take these lash courses, they teach us how to lash, how to make, the perfect fans, get the best retention, and that is amazing because you need that absolutely to grow. However, you don't only need to be a lash artist, you have to also be a lash business owner, which means that you need as good a business skills as you have of lash skills to really be able to optimize in this space. So a lot of lash artists, they get stuck thinking they have to work more hours, thinking that they need more clients. One of my big things is more is not more, okay? A lot of times more is less. What I teach you how to do is how to get more from doing less, right? That is what we do in Lash Millionaire School, because to get to $16,000 to $20,000 is not that you're working harder, you're just working better, right? You have better systems, you have better strategy, you just have more clarity on how to move forward. So now let's get into leaks, because most lash artists, if you have not learned how to systematically build your business, you are definitely losing money. And the first place that we want to start as we're growing your business is start where the money is leaking, right? That's why I said more is not always more. You can probably make more money by fixing your leaks than you can by adding 10 new people to your clientele. So we start here first. Now, what is a leak? A leak is anywhere that money should be staying in your business, but it is not. And the reality is, it's not always obvious. Now, it's obvious, oh, I'm paying an extra cable bill, this and that. But a lot of the times, because we have not, been taught properly how to set up these lash businesses, our leaks are invisible. So we're losing thousands of dollars every single month just because we don't know better. So what are the leaks? You have a retention leak, right? So that's, are your clients coming back? Now, if you're at $5,000 to $10,000, yes, I'm absolutely sure that you're having decent retention. But decent retention is not amazing retention. And the gap between decent and amazing is where a leak lives. There are systematic ways that you can increase your retention even as a $7,000, $8,000 lash artist. Also, you probably have a pricing leak. Most people were not taught how to set their prices. They're going in, some days they making 300, other days they making 700. That is absolutely a problem. That shows me that there is a gap. And once we fix that gap, we start making more money immediately. Also, some people have a visibility leak, and it doesn't matter if you're making $8,000 a month. If you're making $8,000 a month and you could be making 16, then you have a problem. You might be working with the wrong clientele. We have to relinquish the idea of good money being acceptable when what we want is great. So even if you have good clients, what we want are great clients. That means that we have to be visible, right? And be able to not only get in front of what we would consider a great client, but be able to pull them into our lash ecosystem and get them on our books, and get them on our books consistently. Now, another leak is a wealth leak. There are so many lash artists who are making money, right? or they've made money, but their savings, their investments, right, their assets do not reflect the money that they've come across. So we have to make sure that we are using today's money in order to support tomorrow's endeavors. How do we do that? We get organized with our finances. You cannot grow what you cannot manage. You cannot manage what you do not understand, right? So these are the 4 main leaks, and this is typically what's stopping someone from $5,000 a month to making $10,000. What's stopping someone who's making $8,000 a month to making $16,000, and we are here to plug that with the Lash Millionaire system. So now, leak 1, the retention leak. So we have to understand, if you see a client 1 time or 6 times a year, they're giving you $100 per visit, you're only making $600. It is so much easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one, right? If you see that same client 26 times per year at $100, then you're making 4 times the revenue. That is the 4 times multiplier. Sometimes you don't need more clients. Sometimes you need to be leading your current clients better so that you can see them more often. And again, you probably have a decent clientele, but do you have a system around keeping them on your books for the long term and also keeping them very, 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 very consistent? We're going to make sure you do if you don't. The pricing leak, right? So a lot of lash artists, they're working the same amount of hours every week. You going in, you got 40 hours open on your books, and you're pretty much full, right? Because if I'm $10,000 a month, you pretty much have a full clientele. However, some weeks maybe you're making $2,000. Maybe one week you made $3,000. Maybe one week you made $15,000. That is a problem because you have been taught to price by service and not to price by wage. If you go into a job right now, you're going to get a salary. You're going to know every 2 weeks how much you're going to make. That is what we do within your lash business. You should know how much you can make every single day. It should not be you're making 300 some days, 500 some days, 700 some days. No. Obviously, you have people that cancel. We understand all of the variables. However, if everything goes perfect, no one cancels, your spots are full, most lash artists are still having fluctuations in how much money they make. And that is a problem. But luckily, that is a leak that we fix. We immediately get you making more money. And that is the beauty of the Lash Millionaire system. You do not only make more new money because, are you going to get new clients? Are we maybe going to raise your prices? Absolutely. However, we're getting more of the money that you are currently losing, right? So we're winning on every single side of the equation. We're not only getting the money that you're losing that you've lost, but we're also adding new money, right? So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So if you've never learned how to price, if you've priced based on, what are my competitors charging? I'm going to just charge $20 more for my hybrid set than I'm charging for my classic set. And then I'll just charge $20 more for my volume. Then absolutely you're throwing away at the very, very, very least $1,000 to $3,000 every single month. And to be quite frank with you, most people are throwing away at least $1,000 a week, honestly. And that is no stretch of the imagination. That is a real fact that I've seen. Next is the visibility leak. So here's the thing. Visibility, people think is just posting. And visibility is not just posting. It's really authority, right? Like you want to be able to only attract the most bougiest of the premium clients who are excited to pay you a lot of money. Like let's think about when people go to Louis Vuitton. They're spending $5,000 on a bag and they taking pictures. You just spent $5,000 on a bag and you're doing free marketing. But you want to come and pay me $100 to do a mega volume set. Absolutely not. So we have to make sure that we are taking that marketing and that sales psychology and applying that to our brands, because that is what you want. You want people to feel good about paying you premium. You do not want them to have any objection to your price, and you want your price to let people know who you are for. Louis Vuitton, they letting you know through the door, if you ain't got thousands of dollars to spend on the purse, this is not for you. You do not belong here. And we have to do the same, right? So we make sure in modules 4 and 5 that not only are you getting clients, because you all are getting clients, you're making money, but we want to make sure that you are getting the best clients. And even if you have good clients right now, we want them to be optimal, right? So we're always looking to grow, because the whole point of the Lash Millionaire system is to optimize your profits so that you're making tons of money, way more than you need. We want you to get organized with your finances, and we want you to start investing that money. So now your money is working for you and you are no longer working for it. That is the premise. So we cannot ever settle at good. We always have to get to best. Now, the wealth leak, right? And this is where a lot of lash artists are. And this is very dangerous because it's invisible. People are making money. Oh, I'm making 10,000. I'm going to go buy my first Benz. I'm going to move downtown. We all do it. No shade. However, the problem is we're not thinking about what happens if there's an emergency. We're not thinking about, oh, what happens if the economy slows. However, unless the economy just goes all the way crazy and it's like war torn and all sorts of crazy stuff, you can still definitely make money in the lash industry. But we're not thinking about the what ifs, right? So what is your emergency fund? Last time I checked, as a lash artist, I don't get FMLA, right? I don't get paid time off, and neither do you. So if something happens that requires your attention, do you have enough financial resources to cover yourself, right? Also, do you even know how much you need in financial resource to cover yourself? Most people don't even know what it costs them to be them for a single year, right? And I'm talking all your expenses. I'm talking hair, nails, your suite rent. Most people have no idea even how to set a savings goal, let alone hit it. And then also investments, right? Your money has to be growing. We have to make sure that we understand what's going on out here, right? Right now, every single day, the dollar is losing more and more value. So imagine your money, if you make $10 right now, in 3 weeks, that $10 is going to be weighted less than it was 3 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? So we have to make sure that our money is growing. We have to make sure that we are business focused, and not only business focused, but that we're future focused. Because if we're focused on the future, we will also be focused on the business. Also, what's going on with an exit plan? I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to be 65 and a half, still trying to get clients. And to be quite frank with you, I have been lashing for 11 years. I don't even know if I would still be able to lash at 65 because my hands are already having problems, and they have been having problems for the last few years. That is one of the reasons I decided to go part-time. So we have to make sure that we have an exit plan. We also have to make sure that we understand the opportunity. So this is not a leak that I quote unquote put into my trainings, but this is one that I'm going to tell you. One of the biggest leaks, and this leak honestly is the foundation of why everything else is a leak, or why you might have retention leaks, why you might have visibility leaks. The biggest leak that lash artists have is the opportunity leak, right? You don't realize the opportunity that's in front of you. You do not realize what makes your decision to be a lash artist so important, and what makes this industry so unique. You don't understand that you're keeping 85 to 95 cents of every dollar that you make, and you don't understand yet, because you will, what opportunity that is providing you. Most businesses are getting by on 20% returns. You are keeping 85 to 95% profit. on the money that you receive. You can make $16,000, $20,000 in the chair, right? And most of that money will absolutely be profit. That is money that you're actually able to put into your bank account. So why does that allow you to be a millionaire? Because all you need to be a millionaire is some money. That's all you need. And the lash industry allows you to build cash reserves so quickly. The average American person is making about $5,000 a month. As a lash artist, I have more than tripled that, right? Which means that I'm tripling their savings, which means that I'm tripling my opportunity to put my money to work, right? How do people get rich? They put their money to work. You cannot put money to work if you have no money. Luckily for us, we have chosen an industry that allows us to build cash reserves very quickly and very well. I know tons of lash artists who not only make $100,000 a year, but who have over $100,000 in their bank account. If you go and look at the statistics, there is a very, very small amount of people on the planet that have six figures in their account. So this industry, and not realizing the opportunity, is a major, major leak. The first two women who became self-made millionaires in American history came through beauty. And you can do the same, but we have got to get a grip on our business fundamentals. But don't worry, because that is why you are here. So what is the Lash Millionaire system? It is mindset, right? Because we have got to get you to understand this opportunity. We've got to get you to understand what is there for you, because I'm a firm believer in where the mind goes, the body will follow, right? Next is retention. We have got to keep these clients on the books, and we've got to keep them on the books systematically. Next is pricing. We cannot lose money by how we're pricing our own services. You would be a mad person if someone hired you and they told you they were going to pay you $100,000, and some years they paid you 80 and some years they paid you 75. However, we're doing that to ourselves because we don't know how to set a consistent pricing system. But luckily, we fixed that. The next is marketing. And marketing is not just like getting on the internet and saying, oh, hey, book me, book me, book me, or just getting millions and millions and millions of views, right? Even though obviously we want that, but marketing is really knowing how to position yourself, knowing exactly what your objectives are, knowing exactly who it is that you want to be attracting, and learning how to speak a language that is going to bring that woman to your doorstep with her wallet open. She's ready to pay you and she's ready to tip you. Also, next topic is super fans, right? You want people like that Louis Vuitton, right? People get excited. Oh, I'm at the Louis Vuitton store. So you paying me millions and millions of dollars. You dressing up to come spend money, and you're marketing for me. Those are the sort of clients that we want. That is the client. You want somebody who is so excited to give you their money and to spread the news. Next, booking. Booking sites are so important. And as someone who has an e-commerce store, I can tell you that not enough people think about how their booking site is set up. Every person that lays on your table comes through your booking site. That is one of the most important parts of your sales cycle as a lash artist. Your booking site is where all your money is made. Is where all of your time, right, is controlled, because your time is controlled by how you set up your services. It's your pricing. It's your conversion. How many people, right, come to your booking site, like you do all of this work, you're posting all of this content, but your booking site is not optimized for conversion, meaning it's not optimized to turn lookers into bookers, right? So they get all the way here, it's 3 a.m, they like, ooh, girl, I just got off work, I work overnight, I'm trying to get my lashes done. So you've done all this work. You got this client warm. You got her in your sales cycle, but but you can't close the deal because the booking site is not set up right. If lash artists could see the analytics to how many people are clicking on their booking site but not booking, they will understand how much money they are losing. We have got to set up your booking site in a way that promotes people to book your services. And last, wealth. We have got to get a grip around your money. You need to be clear in how much money you make, how much money you have to spend, what your expenses are, how much money you want to save, how to get to the next financial level, how to save for your taxes, how to have good credit, because this is the thing in the Lash Millionaire. I don't play about credit. We're going to have good money, we're going to have good credit, and we're going to have very, very little debt. And there are tons of reasons why that is so big to me. But once you get into the modules, once you get into the lives, a lot of this you will understand a lot better. But this is the masterclass. This is showing you what the Lash Millionaire School is about. This is showing you what it is that you're signing up for. And I hope that this is something that speaks to you, right? Because from my experience, every single lash artist on the planet needs this. So what's inside of the school? You're going to get all of the modules. Actually, it's going to be more than 8 modules because I'm constantly adding things. You're going to get weekly live coaching calls, right? And this is not fluff. Every single week we're starting with what's going on, how much new money is on the books. Every single week I'm hearing all-time highs. I went my own self from making $100 for a lash set, right, to hitting consistent $200,000 years. I have people on my weekly lives that are telling me they went from making $500 a week to $1,500 a week, right? I also have women who went from making $5,000 a month to $3,000 in a week. $3,000 in 1 week is 3, 6, 9, 12, right? So we've over doubled what she's been able to do. Outside of the weekly coaching calls, you're going to be able to take the leaks quiz, and we're going to figure out exactly what's going on in your business. Most lash artists, to be quite frank with you, have all of the leaks, right? Some portion, not all is the biggest leak, but they're losing money in multiple areas in the leak category. But we need to understand what we have to focus on first. So where is the biggest leak? Because the biggest leak is the biggest opportunity, and that is going to be our first focus, and we're going to prioritize from there. Also, you get a one-on-one strategy call where we're talking about your numbers, your business. It's us one-on-one and creating a personal plan together about what are the next best steps for you. And then also you get community. And community is so important. Not just because you need to be seeing that it's possible. You need to see people in your industry, not just on the internet complaining, but you need to see them prospering and doing well. But also it is so important that you stay around women that are sharp, because iron sharpens iron. You will notice by being in the community that you're going to be so much more productive. Because Leslie or Tati or someone is going to come on this week and they're going to say, oh, I have 7, or I hit an all-time high. I made $4,000 this week, right? And you don't want to be the one that's saying you're making 1,000. And then you're seeing women, right, who are committed to the process, who are committed to the commitments that they made, and you're seeing them progress. It is hard to do it isolated. It is easier to do it together. So what your first move is after listening to this masterclass, you're going to go and take the leak quiz, right? We're going to figure out exactly what's going on in that business. Then you're going to book your one-on-one strategy call, and you're going to show up to the live call this week. The live calls are Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. As long as you are going into the calendar tab inside of school, make sure also that you're downloading the school app, because it's so much easier to work everything there. And then you're staying on top of if I'm posting something, it's just so easy to stay in the loop. So make sure you're downloading the app, go into the calendar. You will see the calendar, it'll say that we have a Millionaire Monday coming up. Save that to your phone calendar so that it reminds you, and make sure that you show up. If you show up, this will absolutely work for you. But we also need your participation. So make sure that you're showing up for the calls, that you're booking your strategy call, that you're taking your leak quiz, and that you are doing the homework for this week, because this week is foundational. And I want you to start thinking about, what is it that you want next in your business? What does a successful lash business look like for you? And be completely delusional. You don't have to say, I only want to make $100,000. You can say, absolutely, I want to be a millionaire from lashing. I'm telling you it's possible because I've done it, right? So define what it is that you want. Define what it is that you want your life to feel like, what you want your life to look like, how much you want to work, how much you want to make, and let's bring that vision to your doorstep, because it is absolutely available to you as a reality. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I cannot wait to see you on Mondays Live. Bye.